He walked in the cave and he could feel a light breeze flowing over him. And it was pitch black dark. He kept walking, but he felt that breeze coming right over his face. But he kept walking. And as he got closer and closer to what he thought was the end of this cave, there was a little bit of light at the end of that tunnel. And as the light started to get adjusted to his eyes and he felt that breeze coming over him, he started to look up and he realized it was a dragon. We're going to talk about it on today's podcast.
I've spent the last 20 years studying, teaching, and coaching people to find their greatness and take their lives to the next level. Along the way, it's become evident that emotions are at the root of everybody's successes and failures. Worry and fear are the enemies, and it's time to forge the armor and earn the tools to overcome the two things that could single-handedly destroy your future. Hi, my name is Michael Johnson, and I'm a life coach, a peak performance trainer, and I'm the emotions guy. It's time to take back control of how you feel, control of how you act, and control of how you experience life. It's time to become a lifer, a new breed of overachiever focused on living every minute to its fullest. We are responsible for how we feel, and no one and no thing can make us feel anything. Emotional mastery is our journey, and emotional education and intelligence is the key. We are lifers, and this is Magic for Life.
What's up, lifers? Michael Johnson here with the Magic for Life podcast. And I'm so glad you joined me today because you got to find out what happened next. So, one of my favorite characters of all time in mythology was King Arthur. And there was a show on, I think it's on Netflix or something like that. That's awesome. It's a really fun little series called Merlin. And you can go and check it out if you're interested, if you like medieval times. And at one point, and I probably butchered it because I saw it years ago actually, but at one point, King Arthur, as a young man, started to walk into this cave, and he recognizes that it's this huge dragon that he's going to speak to, and this dragon actually, he's not sure if the dragon is good or bad. He's kind of unsure. Maybe is good, maybe is bad. And he sort of ends up being his advisor. This dragon ends up being his advisor. Now, interesting thing is as he goes along, like I said, he doesn't necessarily know if this dragon is giving him good advice or giving him bad advice. But somehow it keeps working out. And so he keeps needing this advice. Now, along the way, the dragon says, hey, you shouldn't listen to me. I'm not good for you. This isn't good at all. And yet King Arthur, who wasn't the king yet, keeps coming back and he keeps talking to him. And so there's this element of us knowing as the audience that, hey, maybe you shouldn't listen to what this mentor's saying because he's like trying to lead you on, right? But it kind of, he's in this rock in this hard spot. Like, listen to him, and there might be, all the stuff might work out, everything might work out, or it might not, and not that they're saying this, but there's this looming idea that maybe you'll get eaten, maybe this dragon will take advantage of you and you'll die. And there's so much in that. But here's the thing, there's a certain point where King Arthur stops worrying about really whether he was going to die. Now, that's an interesting idea because honestly, as we move through life, there's this element where we are built to self-preserve. We are built to not want to die. We're supposed to continue and be able to keep living, right? And so that's kind of hardwired into us. But at a certain point, if you continue to operate out of fear and not move forward because you're worried about dying, then you actually can paralyze yourself. You can paralyze yourself into doing nothing, to experiencing nothing, right? Now let's get back to this dragon here. He would go and he would get advice, and he would have to discern whether that advice was good advice and whether he should follow it, whether he shouldn't follow it. He'd have to make choices throughout the show about this, about whether or not he should move forward or take action with the advice that was given. But the moral of the story was he still had to go and talk to this dragon. Oh, you know what? Maybe it wasn't Merlin. Maybe it was, or sorry, maybe it wasn't Arthur. Maybe it was Merlin that was going to talk to the dragon when Merlin wasn't Merlin, right? I think I got that wrong, but that's okay. You'll go watch the show. It's a lot of fun. But the point is that even Merlin had his advisor. And that's it. He had his advisor. He had somebody that he was going to and having to discern whether this information is correct. And you've probably had an advisor, some sort of counsel that you went to and you thought, that's some interesting advice. I'm not sure if you have my best interests at heart, but it sounds like it's good advice. Maybe it's not good advice. Maybe it's going to lead me astray. Maybe it's not the direction I want to go. And you've had to discern what's going on. But ultimately, you actually either took the advice or you didn't. In many instances, for many of us, we took the advice and it worked out okay. For many of us, we didn't take the advice and it didn't work out okay. And that happens often, right? In most instances, your counselors, your dragons, so to speak, will give you advice and it might seem a little bit out of touch or out of play because they have a perspective that you don't have. They can see things that you can't see. They've been through things that you haven't been through. And so sometimes their counsel might seem as though it's leading you astray. And sometimes their counsel might be a little off its rocker, a little bit out of the norm, might be directing you to do something that's a little bit out of your comfort zone. That's huge. That's a big deal. And so you have to ask yourself, who have been your dragons? Who's been your dragons? Who has been your counsel in the hard times, in the challenging times? Have you ever gone to somebody to get counsel, even though you knew maybe they didn't have your best interest at hand, but they did know the best action to take? And so you had to discern what was going to go on from that point forward, how you were going to use their counsel. You know, it's interesting because in today's light, back in the day, if I said I was a life coach, if I said I was a coach, there wasn't much respect around it. Nowadays, there's a lot more respect around the idea of being a coach. But the truth of the matter is that I'm counsel. I am a consultant for many people. They come to me when they need ideas. They come to me when their ideas are roaming around in their head and they can't figure out what the heck is next. And in almost every situation, when I'm helping somebody clarify their ideas, come up with their idea, be able to figure out what it is that's next, almost every single time they look at me like I have three heads. What the heck? You're telling me to do what? And I'm looking at it going, I can see it so clearly. I've got great perspective from up here on the mountain because I've been there, I've done that. I've failed at that way more times than you have. And that's the funny part, is that oftentimes we look at our dragons, our mentors, our counsel, and we think they've done it all right and that's how they got there. No, not at all. In fact, there are some counsel out there that won't even work with you at all unless you've had a certain number of failures to prove that you are indeed humble and that you understand what it's like to go through the failures and come out and fight through it and keep going. And it's hard. But who is your counsel? Ask yourself that right now. Who are your dragons? There are some that are great and you've actually vetted them ahead of time, right? You've gone through and you've checked their resume and you've done all those things. And there are some that are bad and you go, gosh, I just wouldn't take that person's advice about anything else except for this thing. And then you have to ask yourself, Is that going to be the best thing? Because I know I wouldn't take their advice in all these other subjects, but on that subject, I know they failed so many times that they know exactly how to do it and how not to do it, which is almost as important. It's so important that we find our dragons. We understand there's different types of counsel. Not every counsel that you have is going to be somebody that is perfect at everything. It might just be perfect at the thing you're seeking counsel for. Find your dragons. And sometimes as you walk into the cave and it's scary as heck, and all of a sudden you realize you're in this cave with this dragon, you still might get great counsel from them. You're going to have to learn to think. You're going to have to learn to use your intelligence to sift through the good and the bad according to you. But you do need your counsel. Go find your dragons. If you need help, if you need some guidance, let me know. info@magicforlife.com. Reach out to us. We'll help. If I can help you, let me know. It's what I do. I help entrepreneurs find clarity. Help them figure out their ideas. Because sometimes you have one of those ideas floating around in your head and you go, I want to do something around this idea, but I can't piece it together. It's in there. And most of the time when you come to me with one of those, I can help you get clarity, figure it out. So if you need my help, let me know. Drop us a line at Magic for Life, info@magicforlife.com. I'm happy to help. Go find your dragons. You're going to need them in a lot of different places. Maybe it comes in the form of an accountant. Maybe it comes in the form of a lawyer. Maybe it comes in the form of business clarity. Everybody needs a consultant, right? So let me know if you need any help. I'm happy to help you. If somebody needs to hear this today, if you've been telling somebody else, you need some counsel, you need a coach, pass this one on. Maybe this will help. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today. We'll see you in the next episode.
Want more Magic for Life? If so, then reserve your copy of my new book. Get your copy at everyminutebook.com. Inside this book, you'll find the secrets to attaining the next level of performance in anything you do. Learn the secrets behind emotional mastery that'll start you on your new journey of being a lifer. Whether you're an athlete, a business professional, or an artist, this book will change your life forever. Get your copy reserved today.